All right, our first fister tonight is Vanessa Williams. Vanessa Williams is a motherhood lover, generational cycle breaker, sunbather, mindful eating learner, salsa dancing enthusiast. She is also an evolving public speaker and big growing advocate for care of mothers in their postpartum phase. She decided to step out of her capitalist contributions of professionalism and speak of the things that truly ignite her soul. Welcome to the stage, Vanessa.
I was just collecting all the fucks I won't be giving after I do this share. Yep. I have decided to categorize my story under motherhood and all that comes with it. So today I'm going to share the different experiences I've had over the 8 years. I will be sharing about friends and family, and I'm choosing to call them the familiars in my life. Can you tell I'm trying to F this up? Okay. Anywho, since Breastfeeding Awareness Month just got over, it was August, I'll start with this one familiar in my life who told me to my face, in my home, to not feed my baby in front of her husband because it was making her uncomfortable. And that what I was doing was not okay and I needed to cover up. First of all, Lord help me. Give me strength. My response: thank you for sharing your concern, but I'm sorry because this is my body, my choice. You do not get to tell me what to do with my body, especially in my own home. I don't see you covering up when you're eating, so why should I? Let me set the scene. If you walk into a restaurant and 5 other women were breastfeeding, are you going to go up to each one and ask them to cover up because your husband was staring and it was making you feel uncomfortable? Or will you tell him to not stare, right? Thank you. But here you are asking me to cover up in my own home. So she goes on to saying, well then, I just won't come to your house. I was like, perfect, don't come. Exactly that, don't be here. If you want me to go into a room in your home because it's your space, I will respect that. So when I'm in your house, I'll go to a separate room and feed. But outside of that, And then I also said, you just showed me that you have a hole in your marriage. You were more comfortable coming to me and telling me to do what to do with my body instead of going to your husband and telling him to have some decency and not look and to leave the room instead of gawking at a pair of boobs like he's never seen one. A moment of silence for this awesome response, right? But what I actually wanted to say was fuck you and leave. But you see, I'm an over-explainer from being silent and suppressed my whole life, so here we are. Okay. Rewind to a time I was enjoying an afternoon in a familiar's home, and there was this little boy, he was 6. I just had my first baby, and I walked into the kitchen, and there was this, There was this little boy who was 6. He was absolutely enamored by me. He would give me flowers and cards and show me his toys. And this one time he was like, can I please draw you in my bedroom? Hello. I'm like, okay. Anyway, had my first baby. This boy and this gentleman were in the kitchen and I walked in. Well, he wasn't a gentleman. I'm going to call him a fuckface. Because I walked in and this is what he said to that little boy. You are not going to like her anymore because she is broken because she just had a baby and she's not pretty anymore. Yeah, I mean, the shock. I was ready to slap him on the face. I was speechless. You know how we use that phrase, I'm speechless? This was that time in my body. I had no words. I was 27. And I hated how my voice was still so small, silent, and afraid. And that's why I'm here. I want to finally give these parts of me a voice and release these feelings from my body. That entire exchange silenced me, and I'm speaking aloud now also for that little boy. And I hope and pray that that exchange didn't solidify in him, but I think it did, because after that, he never came up to me for anything. On to the next. Another fun recollection was a familiar telling me that I was the mom and had to do it all on my own and not ask my husband for any help. Ha, hello, 90s, 50. And then, so I didn't know whether I wanted to laugh or cry, but my response, that is not your place. That is not your place. It is not your place to tell me what I can and cannot do in my marriage. I'm sorry your husband wasn't a teammate when you were in the throes of postpartum and early childhood rearing, but my husband wants to be part of his fatherhood journey, as much as I want to be part of my motherhood journey. Besides, and I quote Glennon Doyle, I don't want to be a martyr to my children, showing sacrifice and disdain. Instead, I want to be a model to them. I want to show them that they can be more than just one thing, motherhood and a career, not motherhood or a career. But wait, we're doing F words, not M words. So what I wanted to say was, fuck you. And I made that person leave. I could go on all night, but I'll do just 3 more. Another one was, don't get crow's feet like Vanessa. This familiar friend or family, I'm just going to say, this is my mom. She told my sisters to put on sunscreen and not to be out in the sun too long like Vanessa is, because she has all the crow's feet and doesn't look after her skin, and they should use me as an example of what not to do. At least I'm influencing in some way, right? I'm the type of influencer who people look at and be like, make sure you don't do what she's doing. I'm glad I'm at least on the influencer list. So I walk into the room and they all realize I overheard everything she said. And I don't waste my time defending myself to my mom or anyone she speaks poorly to of me. So I had the following thoughts. At least I am living. I don't deny myself beautiful sunlight. I don't deny myself our primary source of health. The sun positively gives everything around us energy to live. We are part of that everything. At least I don't deny myself my version of joy. At least I have lived in no fear from being burned or aging, like we all are anyway, instead of covering up and pumping our faces with Botox. But what I wanted to say was, anyone? Fuck you, Mom. Okay, so in my current reality, I have 2 sets of people, 2 groups, right? So one group overeats, and this other group, they work out over time. They'll eat 3 scoops of ice cream, and then they'll do 3 hours on the treadmill, like that vicious cycle, right? So I have these 2 groups of people I'm living on, like who live on the extreme ends of the spectrum. Both groups have made comments about, and they've had worrisome concerns about how much my kids eat. My kids are 8 and 5 and 7 weeks back there, so just for context. So from my experience with children, and again I say my experience, they're usually great at regulating their own bodies, and they know how much food they want and when they're done. Just like a newborn would. I trust this for my kids under the circumstances that I do in fact provide them with healthy home-cooked meals versus fast food and eating out all the time. So my 5-year-old at the time, she asked me for an extra helping of what we were having. And one person from these groups said, no, don't give her that. She has already eaten enough. Oh my God. This coming from the person in the group that overeats. So that I was ready to let him have it. So instead, I give her the serving she asked for. I looked at him and I said, don't tell me what to do with my child, what she can and cannot eat. Please watch your own plate and what you put in your own mouth. Leave my child for me to decide. My little girl at the time was so happy with my support, and she continued to eat her meal. But this is how body image issues start. Eating disorders start. And I was not about to have that for her. So yeah, what I actually wanted to say was, fuck you. A person from the other group, the one that punishes themselves for eating and ice cream and then, the treadmill. This person goes on to rubbing and patting my 5-year-old's belly, saying, "Aw, look how much you just ate and how big your belly is." She's 5. My girl at the time was, yeah, I'm healthy and I love my food. And I was like, fuck yes, you go, baby girl. Like a proud motherhood moment, right? So both instances were men doing this to my 5-year-old child. Men who both looked pregnant to varying degrees when they haven't even had children. Okay? And they actually commented on a 5-year-old's body and eating capacity. Just plain and simply, fuck you. Nuh-uh. Not with me. For my, thank you. For my last cherry on top finisher, this one is from my family. The message came back to me through the grapevine that my family was using me as an example of what not to do in order of life events. So this one was, don't do what Vanessa did. Marry and have kids and not work or establish a career. She had kids and doesn't have enough to support them. Fresh coming from a generation who did exactly that. And to be clear, I was working and doing all the adult things. But again, I didn't say anything. Because what's the point in explaining myself or conversing with people openly and freely about my life choices when they don't take the time to understand me or approach me with curiosity about my decisions? So I thought to myself, we use others to compare ourselves to feel better than, more than, worthier. We want to feel better off where we are in life. And we are used as an example of what not to do. Like I said before, though, if I'm in the bad inflow example, I'll take it. At least I'm on a list. But there's so much judgment flying around constantly on our human journey. And it just gets amplified after becoming a mother. The one group of people who need it the least, but they get slammed with it the most. But to myself, I say this on repeat till today. Forgive and forget. At least if not forget, forgive for my own peace of mind, whether they are deserving of it or not. On second thought, as a once devout practicing Christian, forgiveness got me nowhere. As hard as I tried. So I started releasing these people, these feelings and thoughts out of my system. I told myself, I'm going to change the word forgive to release. And then every time I thought of these people or had these feelings, I would say out loud to myself, I release you. And this heaviness, this interaction has placed on my heart and my body. And over time, something did shift. I felt lighter. And I felt more able to be around these familiars without the tightness in my chest. I was able to have conversations with them and get along with these people. So in my experience, actively releasing people that held power over me in these areas of my life gave me the most peace I've ever known. But every now and then, a good old fuck you is exactly what's needed. Thank you.